All right. Good morning. Welcome to what are we, week 4 now? Ooh, that's more than halfway in this class, isn't it? We're cruising. It's going to be over before we know it. Um, so today is going to be a short class in here and on the recording if you're watching that. We're going to do more hands-on stuff with this guy. So I brought it in, set it up. Do you like my adapter? The actual adapter is this tiny little screw that just mounts the microphone flush on top. I can't find it. So I got this little screw from home. Well, not little, but it's a double-ended little machine screw that fits, and we'll see. We'll make it work. The camera might be visible in the top of the frame. We'll see. Also, this camera that's focused on me, it's on motion tracking, so it's like, sorry if it makes you seasick watching the recording. But okay, so the number one thing I want to do here on the recording and in class is just look at Canvas really quick and go over a couple things in this week's module. First off, hopefully everybody's all done with the reviews, and I don't think I'm sharing my screen. I always forget to do that on Zoom. Okay, so module 4 here we are. We got a couple things here. Make sure that if you haven't already, get the reading and viewing stuff done real quick. And then we're going to move on to this proxy workflow assignment. You won't be able to do that until after today's class because it's going to require you to work with some videos that we won't provide until we shoot them. We have to actually like record the videos that you're going to edit. So we'll do that today. We'll get some video clips and then everybody's going to take it into Premiere Pro and start working on those um, with the emphasis being on proxy workflows. So you two that are here in class, you know what that is, what a proxy is? A stand-in, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And so in this case, I'm on a laptop right now. This is actually a pretty good fast laptop, so I didn't notice a huge difference. But sometimes you're on a computer that isn't the most powerful thing in the world. And have you guys noticed this with any of the footage you've shot? That it's like chugging along, it's a little laggy, it doesn't play back smooth.
When a TV screen,
Yeah,
like, says that just like went crazy and the fans to.
yeah, because they're big, high resolution files and it's rendering all that stuff. It's converting codecs and it's doing compression and so it's kind of a lot for a computer to handle. Well, one thing that you'll run into frequently is if you're editing stuff, especially like multicam, 360 stuff. This camera's 8K. There's cameras that go higher than that, like 15K. So we want to be able to actually edit that and not just look at a progress bar, right? Or a lagging screen that just freezes and we can't see any effects of our edits. And so proxy workflows is where we take our high resolution, big, heavy duty video files and we convert them into a small, low resolution, easy to run video file, like a ProRes file or DNx HD, a different codec that is a little easier. It's got less compression. And so your processor and your GPU, they have to work less in order to play that smoothly. It's going to look worse on your screen, but the point is, it's like you said, it's a stand-in. And so that low-res video file, we edit our timeline with that view on, and then when we render it out, we render on the high-resolution version, but all of our edits, all of our color adjustments, all the effects, they all apply to the high-res version. So our finished product is still full quality, but all of our work and our scrubbing back and forth through the timeline, that's all done on the low-res proxy file. Makes it a lot easier to work with. It's identical and it's a very simple process, but I wanted to make sure that we go through that. The other part of this assignment, just before I forget, the goal of this is to not just use the proxy workflow, but to make it work. Like there can be issues sometimes, and we want the end result to be full resolution working VR videos uploaded to YouTube. So there's some challenges there. The proxy workflow part is actually really easy, even though that's what I have bold here. Getting it to work on YouTube once you upload it, that's a little trickier because there's metadata involved and there's little boxes we have to check. So we'll go into that. Let me stop this share and actually share my other screen. Okay, so we're going to jump over to Premiere Pro where I have a tiny little timeline. This is done with the VR 180 camera, the Canon one that I showed you guys with the dual fisheye lenses. I actually had to ship it back Monday. We didn't get enough time. They were like, we need it back. it was just on loan, and so I didn't really have much say about it. So I'm kind of sad that's gone, but I got like this really lame little clip. All right, anyways, I'm going to play this back. This is the full resolution version that we're looking at right now. So if I play that, does it look kind of choppy? You see it stuttering? Like this should be smooth because I actually had the camera on a gimbal, so it should be ultra smooth. And I was like ninja walking really slow and smooth, so it should be really steady. But you could see it like jump, jump, jump. That's what it is because this is an 8K video file. It's really high resolution. It's 8,100 pixels across, which is a lot to display 30 frames per second at that speed, right? So what we do is instead we're going to go over here to our media, and we can pick a file. I already did it on this one, but I'll do it again. Actually, let's go to this one here. I haven't done it yet. Right click on the file, scroll down until you see proxy. Did I pass it? Nope, there it is, proxy. Okay. And all you have to do is say create proxies. And it's going to make a copy of it. So I'll show you. Watch. If we hit create proxies, we get this pop-up and it says, what kind of proxy do you want to make? Now, in the reading this week, the videos, there's stuff that talks about codecs. And if you don't know about codecs a lot, it can make your head spin because there's a lot of information. But you've heard some of these terms before, like there's video files, like an MOV file, an MP4, and an AVI. These are like video files. But there's also codecs. That's the type of compression that's used on those. So a QuickTime MOV file is pretty uncompressed. And that means that our processor is not going to have to work hard to decompress it to play back. So if we have highly compressed video like HEVC is another file format, or H.265, have you heard of that? That's a very compressed format. It's very efficient for uploading. It's going to give you smaller file sizes and stuff. But in order to play back in here, you have to have a processor that can decode that in real time, render those frames on your screen in real time, and do that at 30 or 60 frames per second. And that's a heavy load. So we want to take that load off. These QuickTime files, they might be actually bigger. They might take up more space on your hard drive than an equivalent H.265 file, but they're going to play back a little easier. It's like kind of like, I don't know if this is a good analogy, but have you ever had a cord, like an extension cord or something that's really tangled up, right? It fits into a small space, but it's really hard to use, right? So if we stretch it all out, make it nice and smooth, that's what our QuickTime file is going to be. So we can drop this down, and there's other options. We can make it H.264, low res, QuickTime. If you're on a Mac, especially, Macs are optimized like it's their file format. QuickTime's going to play back the smoothest. Then we can choose what kind of QuickTime file we want. Do we want ProRes, which is Apple's codec? And again, it's going to work best on my laptop, my Mac here. If you're on a PC, I found that these DNxHR, they might work a little better. I don't remember what the DN stands for, but HR is high resolution. It's a good file format for editing stuff. But I got to figure out the settings because I messed with it a little bit and I got some weird stuff on this laptop. Anyway, this is going to work pretty well for you. We can say where we want it to go, and it's going to be easy to put it next to the original media. Unless you're short on space on your laptop and you want to edit from an external drive, that may be actually possible with a low res proxy file, even though external drives are a little bit slower. You can sometimes get away with that. So we're going to say OK right now, and it's going to send this to media encoder, which is usually where we go at the end of our process to export our stuff out, right? Well, over in media encoder, let's jump over there. Now it's running. We see this progress bar going, and what it's doing is it's creating a small lower res version of that file. And can we see the settings over here? Move that out of the way. It's only 1024 by 540. That's pretty low resolution, huh? That's like, I don't know, 2005 cell phone video, right? And so that's a lightweight file. Like this modern M2 Max laptop is going to have no problem cruising through that, right? So it should play back and edit smoothly. And I'm just going to pause that though, because I already did this on a different file. Pause that. Go over here to Premiere Pro. And we're looking for this button right here that says toggle proxies. If you ever don't see a button in here, there's a bunch more. Just click on the plus right here and you'll see there's lots of buttons. So look for this little guy here. It looks like a big rectangle swapping for a little rectangle, which kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
All right, so look for that, and then we toggle that, and it turns blue. Sometimes you might see a little shift in the orientation of things, like when I turn that on and off. See how it shifts? And I don't know why it just does it for the right eye. I'm really confused by this. But, oh well. It's going to give me a lightweight video file that now if I hit play, see how smooth it is? Okay, because it's just a low-res thing. Now, as far as Premiere Pro is concerned, both files are in my timeline, the high-res version and the low-res version. And when I toggle that, it just lets me play back smoothly. So I can make cuts, I can make edits, I can do color grading and whatever I want, and not have any lag. And then let's say I want to make sure my colors look good on the full res file. You know, I'll just toggle this off, and I probably won't even play it back. I'll just maybe switch it over into full screen, check out my colors as if I were editing a still photo, because if I play it back, it's going to get choppy again. But this way I get, you know, the speed of editing low-res video file, lightweight stuff, and the benefit of still having my big heavy-duty files attached. When I get done, I want to render this file. I'm just going to send it over to Media Encoder, and I'm not going to even mess with setting this stuff up, but I can set my export settings up and everything, and it's going to automatically jump to the main file, not the proxy file. So when I render this out, it's not going to be a 2005 cell phone video. It's going to be an 8K stereoscopic video. All right, now, one of the tricky things when you get into exporting, when you're done with your project, is you want to make sure that there's the correct metadata included. And so if we're exporting to our hard drive, you know, check this box. We can export directly to our hard drive and then upload from there if we want. And so make sure you name it, save it, and then we're going to choose a preset that's going to give us the correct stuff here for our project. I'm going to say, let's do match source as a starting point. The format, we need to use a file format that YouTube's going to accept. Like we can't convert this to a GIF and have YouTube take it, right? So H.264 has limitations on resolution. Like you cannot make an 8K H.264 video. So you're going to need to choose H.265. It's compressed, but it's going to give you enough pixels that you can actually upload this and make it work. If we go into, let's see, do I even have it installed? You have to install sometimes. YouTube will actually accept QuickTimes if you mess around. Look online if you want to try uploading a QuickTime. You can get it to accept a QuickTime if you fiddle with the settings enough. But let's just stick with H.265 for now. Click on that. Then we're going to go into all of our settings and just make sure everything is okay in here. So click on more. We're going to go down and look for the big one somewhere down here. Video is VR. So if you don't check that box, YouTube is not going to think it's VR and it's going to look like the two rectangles that you see on the screen right now. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that it's VR. We need to make sure and set the frame layout. So again, if you're working a 360 video that you've shot with your 360 cameras, it's going to be monoscopic because you don't have two fisheye lenses, right? It's going to be front and back, but it's stitched into equirectangular. So we want to say monoscopic. In this case, looking at the video that I have, which one do you think we'd pick? Side by side, yeah, because our frames are side by side here. We have right eye and left eye right there. The video that'll come out of this guy, it's going to be over under. All right, so horizontal field of view. What is our horizontal field of view? With this camera, it's 180 because this is the one that you're looking on the screen. It's only looking at 180 degrees forward because that wasn't a 360 camera. That's a VR 180 camera. So again, make sure that you're checking all these settings and thinking about what your clips are. We have a 180 degree horizontal and a 180 degree vertical field of view. So we'll check both of those. And then audio, you know, we might get into audio still. We'll see. All right. And then the rest of the stuff we probably don't need to worry about too much, but this, just double check your effects. I went for a while and this was unchecked. It was turned off. It was driving me crazy because none of my effects were showing up in the render. So just double check. I don't know how that gets turned off, but turn it on. All right. Metadata, it's going to be included if you want. You can, there's a, go ahead, you can sit down. You're not interrupting. So there's things that you can do if you want to play around with some of the new features. Photoshop. I teach Photoshop all the time too. Premiere has text-based editing. Have you guys messed with that yet?
Yeah.
Holy cow, it's so cool. It's so cool. So we're probably not going to have a lot of dialogue in our audio today, but maybe it depends what you guys want to shoot. Uh, but try out text-based editing, and if you do, you can have it automatically create, accessible captions that go into the metadata. You upload it to YouTube, and the captions are already done. You don't have to trust their like kind of sometimes bad auto captioning, and you don't have to type it out yourself. Like it's pretty nice. So anyway, we want to include all that stuff and then upload it. If you're going to use the YouTube preset, which I like because then I just export it once and it automatically uploads. You just have to sign in to your YouTube account, do all the same thing, set all your settings up and everything so that you make sure your video is good. Hit export, and then if you're doing that option, you just walk away and you go work on some other homework or you go watch a movie or something. Go eat breakfast or dinner or lunch or however late you stayed up, whatever meal that's going to be. And then you're done. So come back to YouTube after a while and just double check it because you want to make sure that it worked before you turn it in. Make sure that you give yourself enough time for the upload. And it could be kind of a big upload. So, all right, let's get out of that. All right, so next step, what we're going to do is take the big camera and we're going to go shoot some stuff. I asked in Slack about ideas for things that you guys might want to shoot, and I think we got one response. Let me just check here real quick if there's any more. I don't think so. Where did it go? There was one response. Maybe it was in a DM or I don't know where it went. Anyway, so if you're online, sorry you don't get a whole lot of input on this. You had your input period is over. You're going to get whatever footage we shoot today, and you're going to edit it with a smile, right? All right, so that's all for the recording. I'm going to pause it in case I decide to come back online afterwards, and then we'll talk about the camera and all the stuff that goes into stitching in a minute. But here we go. Where's my pause? There we are. Okay, we're back. One more thing before we head out, I wanted to go over is the camera itself a little bit. So this guy, can you guys see it if it's just on the TV and stuff? All right. Here, I gotta zoom out. Pretty cool, huh? I use the force. Let's see, where is that visible? It doesn't really show up very good, huh? All right, well, first off, this is a Amazon microphone. If you watched the video last week, then you saw a little bit of that, right? Under this thing, it's got an array of mics that point in different directions, up, down, left, right, side, to side, A, B, select. Guess what? You don't, never mind. Old video games. So there's this, it's not connected to the camera at all, other than my weird little mount that I rigged together. And the camera is going to record, this is going to record separately, but this is on the same axis, it's pointed in the same direction. Even though this camera looks in every direction, it has a front and the back, and the mic has a front and the back. The goal is, once we do our clip here, we're going to record some stuff, whatever our production is that we're going to make. We take the audio out of this too, and then we're going to put that audio track into Premiere, just like we would with an external microphone or a boom operator and a dual audio system or whatever. That's the goal. Now, the tricky part with this is that this doesn't record omnidirectional audio like a regular microphone does. It doesn't just hear in every direction. It hears in that direction, and it hears in that direction, and that. So it ends up with multiple tracks of audio from separate microphones that are not necessarily connected. And the beauty of that is that if I were to walk around this and record audio the whole time, I'm going to get louder when I walk over here and then louder over here. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you're not really going to notice much of a difference. If you're watching this with headphones on and you move the video around with your mouse, you're going to notice a big difference because you're going to hear sounds like the AC and the mechanical stuff up there. You're going to hear it coming from that direction. And as you turn your head, it's going to stay aiming to that direction. And if you hear birds singing, by the way, there were 2 birds stuck in the studio yesterday and they were chirping and everything. So if you hear, I don't know that the one is out, we got one out. But if you hear a bird chirping in here, like this would pick it up and you would be like, oh, it's over there. You hear it. And as you move your head around, you would hear sound in direction. And this is especially important if you're going to create content for VR. If people are going to watch this in a headset, then having that level of immersion where if it's just stereo audio or just regular mono audio even, and you move your head and you see things move around, but the audio never changes, there's a big disconnect. But if you're watching it in a headset, in VR, in 3D, and the audio also with it, it adds another level of immersion. And that's an important thing, depending on what it is that you're doing and how much you're paying, right? Okay, so what we do is we turn on both devices. Okay. And all right, so we're going to make sure this microphone and we can put it. How actually we put this? Who's that? None of us are extremely tall or short, so it's pretty average for this group. But it may be something to think about, right? I found that if I put it at my eye level, when I watch my own videos from my own eye level, they look too tall. So I think it's partly due to the distortion of these lenses and the way that works. But usually if I put this at about my chin level right here, it looks better to me. Now that may look too tall for some people, or it may look too short for some people, but for me, eye level is too high. I don't know. Did you guys come across anything about that in your training, the Coursera stuff? It was more just about where to put the camera, right? Not how tall to put it.
Not like the camera, someone watching videos.
Mhm.
Will execute nights based off of their set.
But that's actual VR, but not VR video. Because VR video, once it's recorded, that's where it was recorded from. You can't change that. But in VR, yes, that's, otherwise that would be really weird. Okay, I think we're good now. I'm going to actually pause the recording. And I don't know if that was really necessary to show you guys turning the camera on. There was something else I was going to say though, wasn't there? Sound. Okay, yeah. So we talked about sound. All right, there we go. We're good then. So we'll pause this. We'll go show you some stuff and then we'll come back. So this guy here, I'm going to get it set up to record. You guys plan out a 30-second scene. Okay, whatever you want to do.
I want to hear like the direction of the camera. I want to open it.
All right, but we're recording, so I'm going to clap right now so that we have that. Okay. Let me hide. I did already. You're good. Go ahead. Action.
What's up, my guy? Hi, hello. Hey, high five, right? Yeah. High five. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is definitely super natural. This is natural environment.
Do you guys want to go over into the sunshine or over there where it's a little brighter or anything?
Yeah.
All right, now with VR 180, we have this humongous field of view, right? If you're clear over there, you're going to be this big, right? And the whole effect of 3D doesn't work on things that are super far away. It works on things that are close up, right?
Yeah.
So you want your action to be not so close that it gets in the stitch lines, but you want it to be close enough that the offset of those two lenses, one lens can see around a little bit this way, one lens sees around this way, and you get actual 3D. So this line right here, stay behind that line, but stay in front of that crack right there. You see that?
Crack? Another crack.
Right there, yeah. So just stay right in about this area. That's where our action should be. Can any of you like do a backflip or something? All right, I'm going to do this one as HDR video. What that does is it records one frame at a certain exposure and the next frame at a higher exposure, and then it plays it back. You can get higher bit depth video. You can't do that if the camera's moving. It has to be stationary, which isn't a problem with this. But we'll see how that works out. And that should allow us to see the brights out here, and you guys are in the shade, so everybody should show up. But it'll give you something to play with, because part of your assignment is to practice editing this stuff, and that's going to be a challenge. So, all right, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so audio rolling, I think. Yeah, audio is recording. Camera's recording. Somebody give me a clap. Okay. Quiet on the set. Action.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Alright, well, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, this is rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Alright, let's do two. This is the final time. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh.
One last one.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay,
Are we going to have to beep that? Are we going to have to bleep that? What did you say?
Are we all adults, right?
Practice more editing. Right.
Okay, there we go. All right, that was it. So now we turn off the camera, we pack it up, and if this was your editing project, what you would do is you would come in here and you take out all 6 micro SD cards from the
there's 6
base.
of them?
There's 6 of them, yeah. Those each go in simultaneously into a 6-slot card reader. Actually, I have a 9-slot card reader, but you put all those in simultaneously. Then there's an SD card under the battery back here, a full-size SD card.
Huh?
You plug that one in too. The SD card, it's got the metadata that says which card is which. I don't know why they can't just put it all in the cards. But it says which clip is which, and like that's the organizational information that it needs. We open up the Insta360 software. I can't show you this because it's not on my laptop. It's on my desktop computer. But then that software is going to stitch all this stuff. And when we stitch it, it puts together all 6 cameras and distorts them into an equirectangular left eye, which shows on the bottom, and a right eye, which shows on the top. So our finished thing is a big square. It's 2 rectangles, a 2:1 and a 2:1 ratio.
Specific software we need to use for this one, or?
No, you're going to use Premiere Pro.
Okay.
I'll do the stitching for you guys on this one because ASU, I talked to him and I said this camera needs a big, powerful computer, so they gave me a big, powerful computer. And that's not a course requirement, just the little camera is all you guys have to get. Is that still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, so
How about the sound? Does the sound, does it click?
it's off now. It takes an SD card too, a micro SD card. So I'll pull that out too, and I'll give you guys the audio file. That one, I haven't showed you anything about ambisonic audio yet. It's a black hole, and it's like Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole. You can go down with audio. If you've ever done audio stuff, you know already it's complicated. Add on to the ambisonic audio with tracking, like directional tracking, it gets to be a lot. And then you have to get it all to work on YouTube too. So I want to see what you guys can do. Okay, so YouTube University, here we go. All right. So then, I don't know if we want to record this next part. People can see it on Canvas, but there is one more assignment. We'll let her grab her camera before we.
The frame one? The frame one, or?
It's called video presentations, but it isn't really a presentation.
Yeah.
It's going to be more of a, like a vlogger kind of thing. So you're going to take your camera. Can I see this? And we'll practice. So I'm going to take this camera, and if there were somebody filming me, like they're probably not going to film from up here, right? So let's say that you're filming with a regular camera. You're standing over there. You're pointing it at me from about your height, right? So I'm going to hold this about that height. And let's say I want to talk to the camera. Let's say I'm a YouTuber and I'm giving a product review on this camera right here. I might be pointing at things and like this goes up and down, and I don't look at the camera except when I want to speak to the audience, and they're right there, and I have audio picking up and all this stuff. So I would take that, and that's what I'm going to edit into something. And then to add some interest, I'm also going to take this and maybe put it on a stand somewhere so it's stationary, and I'll walk around it and stuff. And I'll walk down the street. What's that?
Like a TED Talk.
Yeah, a little TED Talk. Yep. And so we'll see how this turns out. I'll see, maybe I'll put this little reframed video from this camera into the recording for class today. Then all those guys will get to see the nonsense that we're up to out here, right?
All right, that's it. Have fun.